Welcome back to another episode of Five Things, and on today's show, what we're going to be discussing is vintage toy lines that we've owned and or didn't know that we would purchase again.
I am inevitable.
There are many words that come to mind when we think about toy collecting or talk about toy collecting. There's vintage, there's retro, being accomplished and acquiring those toys from our childhood, and there's nostalgia. Reconnecting with the simpler times in life. Toy collecting as we know it is credited to the Star Wars franchise, but it's nothing new and has been part of our culture for centuries, dating as far back as to the Egyptians, where there were toy soldiers that were found in their tombs. Toy soldiers remained a staple in collecting, evolving from wood to tin to the little green army men that we commonly think of today. In 1901, the Electric Express toy train debuted in what was originally only meant to be displayed in toy store windows. But the demand for it would launch a new obsession. This was soon followed by companies creating tin car advertisements for kids as a marketing ploy to get their parents to buy their company's products, which gave way to Matchbox creating the die-cast cars in the 50s. That same decade, we saw Barbie debut for girls in 1959, and it wasn't until 1976 that the industry was about to change into what we know today. 20th Century Fox passed up on producing toys for its upcoming film Star Wars. This allowed the rights to fall to George Lucas, who partnered with Kenner Toys, introducing the smaller 3 3/4 inch action figures that were molded with clothes on instead of having a single character where you can interchange those outfits. Now, led by Star Wars, collectible action figures quickly became a multi-million-dollar industry for studios, which began producing cartoons that were basically advertisements for toys. I am joined here again with my lovely co-host, Mr. Charlie. And our special guest today is Ed himself from Ed's Retro Geek Out.
Hey, thanks so much for the invite. It's awesome to be here today talking toys.
Yeah, thanks for joining us from overseas. Anything that you want to plug?
I'm sorry. I was going to say something that's going to make Ed hate me.
Uh-oh. Go ahead.
Can I say it? Anyone ever tell you you look like Ed Norton?
Couple people. Yeah. Couple people.
You look like Ed Norton?
I don't know why.
I don't know either. I don't really. But like people say that kind of stuff. You're like, oh, you look just like him. And you're like, I don't. I guess you don't. But I don't know. You do. I think you should own it because I'm sure when the comments come around for us, they're going to say I look like a grimace. So don't, just own it, buddy. Enjoy it.
Anything I want to plug? Yeah, sure. I have an Instagram I want to plug and a YouTube channel. So basically what I do is I have a YouTube channel where I talk about toys. I used to go out hunting and go looking at other people's collection rooms and film that and turn it into like an edited episode. But then COVID hit, and then I started doing a show called Toy History where I talk about unproduced toys, banned toys, and knockoff toys. Mainly, I've been venturing out into more just one topic videos and stuff like that. They've been doing well, but I can't wait to go out flea market hunting again. And it looks like Belgium is finally going to be opening up in June with some new flea markets, but I'll still be doing the toy history, so no worries there. But yeah, check out the YouTube, check out the Instagram if you like 80s and 90s toys.
So essentially how it works is we go from 5 to 1. Ed, since you are our guest, you can reveal your number 5.
So a toy line I had as a kid and I would love to own again with this Spider-Man. the one that tied in with the animated series.
Yeah, man.
I remember like waking up early every day during school days to just like catch it at like 6:30. Watch it before school. That's when it was on. Yeah, and I had a couple toys, but everything apart from my turtle toys, I pretty much sold at a kitty flea market. So it was all like gone for like 50 cents. And yeah,
my heart hurt.
I do have a couple, but I don't have like a big collection like I used to have. So that's why it's still on the list, because I already picked up a lot of stuff. It's been pretty tough getting this list together.
I've had a pretty good obsession with the Spider-Man series too. That's a good pick. That's a really good pick.
That's a real good pick. For me, unfortunately, we're getting into the later years of me being a kid and the teenage years. So I actually bought some of the figures, but I didn't get into like all the vehicles or any of the sets that came out with it. But a solid pick.
They're one of the only times in my life where I can distinctly remember, like, and it might maybe one of my first impulse buys ever, where they had the storyline where there was the clone Spider-Man and they changed the suit where it was basically traditional Spider-Man, but he had like the fingers were like blue here and then this webbing here, and it was just subtle. It was kind of different. And I was at like, yeah, it was something like that. It was cool. It was a cool suit, and yeah, I jumped all over it. I went to my mom. I need you have this, that kind of thing. So yeah, good call. I didn't even think of that. Shit. Transformers. And I have a distinct memory from when I was a kid of, my grandfather. We went on these long family trips where we lived in Jersey at the time, we'd go to Lancaster, Lake George, New York. Fairly long trips when you consider where we were leaving. Almost every single trip we ever took in those RVs would buy my brother and I shut-up toys, as I call them now. And the shut-up toy was always a Transformer. It just worked out, like, we would pick it out, but, like, it was kind of like, I don't think we knew that we, like, had the power in our hands a little bit, but, like, it would, like, I look back at it as very obvious, like, alright, you can get one thing, anything, but, yeah, and that would shut us up for a solid, like, 2 hours, because, the only one from the series, if I'm being honest, that I would probably buy again was two that I owned, which was the original Optimus Prime, which everyone says that.
Yeah.
And then the other one actually was from the Beast Wars line, which I have to admit I was probably 15 when that was out.
Yeah.
And I had the Gorilla Optimus Prime from that series too. And that might have been the last toy I ever bought. Oh yeah! You son of a bitch! Oh, that thing's the best.
Well, my number 5 is going to date me a little bit. That is probably as much as my number 1. But it would probably be the only one that my wife would let me collect again. And that's Voltron. And I'm not talking about the Voltron that had the plastic lions. I'm talking about the die-cast metal Voltron. So this was one of the toy lines that I had that I actually kept in the box after I was done playing with it because it was so fragile when it was the die-cast metal one.
I must have just missed the mark with Voltron. I was a little too young for it. I know everyone loves it.
Yeah, they had many iterations of Voltron. It seemed like every year it came out, it switched from like LGN to, I already forgot, but I did a video on it. It's not Hasbro, but it just flipped from like Tyco to Bandai to Matchbox or something like that. And one was die cast, one had like lead in it, so they have to recall it. And then, so like, I think like 3 years in a row they switched like toy companies that manufactured it, but it still ran on the same cartoon it seems. Number 4 would be Captain Planet.
Oh.
Yeah. That's like, when I was, the ideal age to be watching Saturday morning cartoons to get influenced by it.
Yeah.
I remember like toy as a kid. I think it's like Matthew, like I don't even remember. I think it's the guy that has like heart or something. So I remember having that one, but nothing else. But I really enjoyed watching that cartoon. even though it's like let's say the environment stuff.
Yeah.
It was a cool show.
Yeah, unfortunately, like they didn't have too much waves of toys either. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I would love to get all of those because I think like the way they sculpted like the villains especially is done really cool.
My number 4, I just had an experience with them. Well, not really, but kind of. The OG Super Soaker series. So the Super Soaker 50, 100, 200, 250, and I believe the 300 was the backpack, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And apparently they rebooted it or re-released the series. I don't think they're using the same numbers and color scheme, but I think they call them like XP50 or something like that now. Mm. I remember I had a hard time begging my parents to get them for me, even though I had a lot of them. You know, I think the 300 was like well over $100 if I remember. Like as soon as you got a backpack involved, you're spending $100. You know,
I mean that looked like the craziest thing. Like when you watch the commercials.
Yeah.
Okay, there's like water guns, but then there's like this kid with a backpack and he's going around. They're like, try to beat that guy.
And there was the thing in the front with those ones where like, or no, wait. No, that was a different one. I don't know what number that was though. I think it was a 75, whatever. But it was like, they had the end where the nozzle was. They started incorporating this thing where you could turn it left and right. And the commercial was like, he's coming up on your right. And you just like, whack, got him that way. Like stuff like that. And, I remember like, because, you know, we were, whatever I was, maybe 7 or 8 at the time. And like the lore of Super Soaker when they first came out, because I think there was only the first 3 guns were the 50, the 100, and I think they had like a little tiny, like a 30 or something like that was like a handheld. And the whole thing was like, kids started just thinking that meant that it would be like 50 feet or 100 feet. And then it got to like the 300. Look at the 300 feet. Oh yeah. There goes a football field. Yeah, you're right. Don't shoot anybody 10 feet away. You're going to freaking knock a hole through their chest. Man,
I used to have like one of the CPS ones, was it like constant pressure system?
Yeah.
But it had like, on the front, because it was like this big thing, like you really have to push it.
It had that tank in the back.
That's the tank in the back, and on the front you could flip it, like it would be different types of spray, like it would be like a big one or like a really small. You could change, like when you would water the plant, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They popped it on the front there.
Heads out there with a Super Soaker 300 watering his tomato plants.
Yeah.
So number 4 is a bit of a heavyweight from the 80s, and that is Masters of the Universe.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Oh
You're
my god.
Sexy.
This probably is what is some of the influence into my collecting today, because, you know, the show was great, but the evil characters were even better. You know, you had Clawful, you had Beastman, you had Skeletor. The artwork on these evil villains and characters was amazing. And then you had cool accessories too. Like I definitely had Skull Mountain. But my favorite vehicle was the giant spider. You put the batteries in and he's walking across the floor. I love that. And then you had, the land shark. This is like one in the 4 toy lines that I had. I almost had the entire setup as a kid. But I could sit there for hours playing with these characters, and yeah, I think my love affair with, you know, collecting horror stuff now probably stems from Masters of the Universe. Hands down.
That's a good pick. I had a few that just kind of got adopted. They got merged into my toy collection for some reason. I don't remember. Either I was really little or just they ended up in my collection. But I had He-Man and I had I think I had Manny Faces.
Yes, another great one.
Yeah, I don't think I had Skeletor. But again, like I was, you know, by the time I was old enough to really like know what I was doing when I was playing with the toys, I don't think He-Man was really around. That was kind of a more early to mid 80s. You know what I mean? So I might have just barely missed it.
I definitely had like hand-me-downs, Master of the Universe wise. I remember the first time I went over on a play date. I guess we were like 4 or 5. My buddy, he had like a Castle Grayskull, and just seeing that and seeing like the throne room where it flips and the carpet falls.
Oh, yeah.
That was like, whoa, this is amazing. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at them right now, so I have everything like popped up. So
it's always awesome when you can cross them over with other action figure lines too. So crossing them over with the turtles probably was great.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, but I mean, they play with everybody, you know, like Ghostbusters. I just like looking at them.
He just turns his chair around every once in a while. I'm fucking awesome, you know that?
All right, Tom, we reached that point in the show.
All right, folks, we're about halfway done with this episode. You don't need to hear me say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Hit the subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like, leave a comment. We need opinions, your opinions about what we're doing here. Are we doing a good job? Do you agree with our list? Do you not agree with our list? Does Dave have to stop wearing that funny hat? It's up to you. I don't need this. I can go anywhere. I could be at the bar right now. It doesn't matter. I could talk about this anywhere, but I decided to do it here for you, with you, and we want your input. So again, tell us how we're doing. Thumbs up. Subscribe. Bell icon. I didn't even mention the bell icon. How awesome is the bell icon? Really, I'm a fan of the bell icon. We're going to do a list about the bell icon pretty soon. That's going to be an episode. And leave a comment. Ed? You're number 3.
And number 3 would be Crash Test Dummies.
I totally fucking forgot about the Crash Test Dummies. That car was the shit.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my god.
I used to have like some type of an RV thing, and when it drove around, it would like get pushed up on one side, and you could have like the English isn't my native language, so sometimes I get stuck. But there's like this cable hook thing on the front of certain cars, and that thing, when you pressed on it, it would push out, so you could like obliterate one of those figures when it,
like a winch.
Yeah.
A winch, they call it. It's got like you would use it to like pull a car out of a ditch sort of thing.
Yeah, but it would have like an armor thing around it, like you could wrap cables around and stuff like that. So that thing would get pushed out, but like the windshield would break off, and you know, like the guys would go everywhere. That was amazing. I had that, and then I had like some type of like a trash recycler thing, which I think was part of it, but it didn't explode or anything, so I'm not sure, but it had the same colors. I had a couple of those guys, but yeah, that's like a toy line I would love to get a lot more from, because it was just such a quirky line, and I think it was just, I'm not sure, I think it was just based on like the TV commercials that were coming out at the time with the actual dummies in the cars.
I had a small collection of those. That was a solid line. That was, oh man, that one got swallowed up by time, didn't it?
Yeah. I didn't have that, but my friend's little brother did. So when we went to his house, we would just often toss the car right off of a table, slam it into the wall. It was always awesome to play with.
My number 3. Any iteration of Batman toys definitely could belong on the list, because if the movie Batman and Robin taught us anything, it's that at least the toys are fun. But specifically, and again, this is just because of my nostalgia. Batman Returns had some pretty fun toys. They had the ones I wrote down are specifically the Batmobile Bullet, which was the one that was like the movie where you could drive it, and then there was a button on the top, and it would blow apart the left and the right, so you could go through alleyways like they did in the movie, which I was like, I never had it. I was so jealous of that Batmobile. But the one that I did have was Bat Ski Boat, which was also in the movie. That was the thing where he's flying through the sewers to try to get to the Penguin's lair, which was also the polar bear exhibit at the zoo. Because, you know, that's how Gotham rolls. They let sewage into the polar bear exhibit at the Gotham Zoo. I don't know if you guys keep up on your Gotham lore, but that's what I learned. But, yeah, those two toys, And I had another Batmobile that was like, it wasn't like the actual it wasn't in the movie. It was just, how they just make toys for the sake of it and threw the label on it. It was like a Mercedes or like a Lamborghini type car. And the gimmick was that you came with a Bruce Wayne toy, and then you would put your Batman toy in another compartment. And then when you like pulled the top or slid it, it would look like Bruce Wayne turned into Batman while he was driving.
I actually stopped buying Batman toys with the line before for the first movie.
Why?
So I was getting older. So, and then I moved and all that other stuff. But I had Batman, Joker. Never got my hands on the Batwing or the Batmobile from that line. I would get those. My number 3, I'm going to get flack from my oldest son for. I'm a Marvel fan. But in the 80s, there was a line of toys called DC Superpowers. So the toys were based on the Super Friends. So you had Batman, Superman. They had these little grips on the back of the capes that you would clip on the back of the necks. So I had that toy line, and I really wanted Marvel Secret Wars that came around the same time, but these were the better toys, and I don't know why I had them, because I read Marvel comics when I read DC comics at the time, but I had these toys. And it was probably because Superman was big in the theaters at that time. You had the reruns of the 60s Batman show, and then you had the Super Friends on. So I had a good chunk of these toys. I never got the vehicles, but I had all of the toys pretty much. I didn't get the Hall of Justice that they came out with at that time, but definitely had Batman, Superman, Flash. You could squeeze their legs or their arms and they would do something, but somehow my favorite was Dr. Fate out of all of those toys. So that is my number 3 choice.
Dr. Fate's a cool character.
Yeah.
Even beyond that, like he looks, and he's kind of been consistent through the years. The costume hasn't changed much.
Yeah.
But that's a good choice for sure.
Enter Alien.
Ooh.
Toy line based on the second movie, I guess. They were supposed to have like a cartoon show for it, but that thing never aired. But I really like the way those aliens look. That like a little bit of a translucent color and some shading on them, and like every alien was kind of like mixed up with another animal. The aliens are like definitely like the best out of the line for me. She also had like the Space Marines or whatever they're called. And then there's, like the Power Loader, which is also really cool. But, yeah, I really like those aliens. One in particular is like the blue gorilla, type alien. And when you pushed his head, it could squirt water. That's like when I played with so much as a kid. I still haven't found it. So that's when I really would like to get back. Yeah.
I haven't seen any of those over here in the States at any cons either. It's very hard to find those.
I remember that one. Yeah. Oh, that one was fun.
Yeah.
They're all over eBay.
Oh, really?
I don't think it's a rare toy or anything, but it's one
cool.
of those toy lines where I'm not too focused on it. It's more like something I want to just experience as I find it. I don't just want to go on eBay and go like, oh, here it is for $5, I'll buy it. No, I want to find it at a flea market or at a convention, and it'll be like the right time. I already have like enough toy lines to spend too much money on.
Yeah, buying it offline sometimes cheapens the experience.
Whatever, I want it now, goddammit. Ed, don't chastise me, because I think I told Dave that this was probably going to be my number 1, and then the light went off, and I was like, can't really make it number 1. It's basically a tie. I'm just going to say it like that. It's basically a tie. The Ninja Turtles. Specifically, my 2 favorite toys were Pizza Shooter, because how dangerous was that shit? Let's be honest. It was dangerous enough. When you're like, I'm just aiming at my little brother's like, this pizza shooter's here, his head's here, I'm just like, and the movie Turtles. The movie Turtles were the shit. Yeah. I mean, the whole line was awesome. But yeah, specifically those 2. But, yeah, I don't know if there's a whole lot to be really said about the Turtles. I never had the layer, and I always wanted it. I never had this.
I had it as a kid. Totally loved it. Yeah, that's like, Turtles never left me. Like, I think like, even when I was like in high school, I was like still.
The Turtles broke, when I was like 12 or 13. I'm like, wow, the cartoon's great. I was into the comics, and it's like, I don't care if I'm older. I got to get these toys. I got a lot of flack for it though, but I didn't care. I still bought the toys. A lot of my drawing, I used to draw a lot of Ninja Turtle comics, and Kevin Eastman, I think I met at a comic convention, and he signed a bunch of my comics that I had. I love the Turtles. I love what they're doing with them now too, with some of the new releases.
Yeah, man.
I didn't put them on because it's like 50% of my collection already, so that's why they're not on here.
Number 2 is Star Wars. Unfortunately, you guys didn't get to experience it, but man, going to this toy store back when I was a kid, it wasn't anything like you see today, because Star Wars toys were from floor to ceiling on peg hooks. I remember going there and just staring at all the different figures that were out there, and a lot of the times it was higher up than I could reach, so the guy would have to get the pole with the hook. You have to take down the Star Wars action figure that I wanted. But man, I love the Star Wars line. The vehicles were tremendous, like the Millennium Falcon. Slave One was my favorite ship. I had the Ewok Village, loved that. Jabba the Hutt. Just, man, the vehicles, the figures, I loved everything about it. And I was very close this past summer because I came across a mint condition of the Ewok Village, and I had my hands on it. It's like, oh, I gotta buy this. But I have nowhere to put it. It's because I got 6 cases of horror stuff behind me, and it's in my living room. So, yeah, definitely love those toys. I don't know if I would go back and collect it today, maybe pieces of it, just because it's become so expensive, and I don't want to put that type of money up, but I love the Star Wars line, definitely.
I always thought, it's a stupid way to look at it when you really think about it, but I thought the vehicles were way cooler than the actual action figures. Now, to be fair, you're talking to a guy who didn't even watch episode 4 until he was probably right before I met you, Dave. I'll be totally honest with
I actually started collecting vintage ones last year. So, just because every history thing I did was like, well, it all comes down to when Star Wars toys got big. But I did have an X-Wing, I guess as part of Power of the Force in the 90s. I didn't own any of the figures, so I only had like an X-Wing. It was like it.
It's a badass
like G.I. Joe's in it.
and as soon as if you mention Star Wars toys to me, that is the first thing I think of. I think of an X-Wing.
Yeah.
Number 1, Kenner Batman. The 90s one. For me, it seems to be more connected to the animated series. There's definitely cards. Yes, this one is part of it, like this Robin.
Yep.
Like the Kenner Batman was pretty much the same mold all the time, with maybe a little bit more sculpting on it and a different color, and loads of accessories, which makes it actually really hard to find over at flea markets because accessories are always missing when you find stuff loose.
True.
I have picked up like a couple, and this is like one I still had from when I was a kid. This is like the utility belt one, I guess.
I had that one, yeah.
So I love that one. That's one I want to get on card as well. But yeah, this is like the way I remember Batman.
My number 1 are the real Ghostbusters. That probably was the most full collection I ever had of toys, if I'm being honest. I had Ecto 1, I had the Firehouse, I had the Stay Puft Marshmallow, I had Slimer. It was a regularly known thing that if we went to James Way in Ludwig, New Jersey, Charlie was going to run to the toy section and at least grab a new color slime, because you used to be able to buy them.
Yeah.
They came in like Play-Doh containers, and you could get
the
different
ectoplasm.
colors.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of these, but I'll reveal why when I show my number 1. But these toys were great. I remember going over to my friends' houses and playing with their stuff all the time, and Ecto 1 was awesome.
Yeah, I have one. I wish I had it on display. I have it downstairs right now. It's under the TV.
I have one over here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you! Look at you, you devil! Man, I'm jealous. I'm gonna fly to Belgium as soon as I can. Just read. everything.
Number one for me is tied to a distinct memory, and I told you to flip with number 1 and 2, but it's G.I. Joe. Right after my 5th birthday, I remember my uncle had given me, for my birthday, the Wombat Green Tank and Grunt, the action figure. And I remember my mom saying to my dad, it's like, oh, great, another damn toy line that we have to get. So this is probably why I didn't have Ghostbusters as a kid, because I had, the He-Man figures, Star Wars, G.I. Joe, but G.I. Joe is definitely number one for me, especially when it came to the accessories, right? If I think of crown jewels of collections, I think of the USS flag, that, the aircraft carrier that was out there.
Yeah.
But the vehicles were great, like the Weasel, the Cobra Weasel. That was one of the ones where the wings flipped up sideways. And then there was another one, the Night Raven. Man, I loved those toys. In fact, as a teenager, I was still buying G.I. Joe stuff as well. And I settled on, I'm going to give a shout out to my friend here because he owes me, but Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, every iteration I bought, and I lent it to him once when we were in 4th grade together, and he still owes me from Alfred. So if you're watching this, because I told you to watch this, you owe me those 2 figures.
And then, Alfred. Don't be a douche, Alfred. So you heard it here. You got the list. 5, 15, whatever you want to look at it as. Hopefully you disagree with all of them, because we want to hear about what your top 5s are. You think you're so special? You think you got it under wraps? You think you know more than we do? I doubt it. But then again, this is my opinion. Just like this is all our opinion. Make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe, give us a comment. Hit the notification bell so the fine people of Google can let you know when there's another 5 things. You need to see this, and we will keep making this for you as long as you like it. Till next time, I'm Charlie.
This is Dave. And our special guest, Ed.
Thanks for having me over, guys. This was fun.
No problem, man. Thank you for being our guest. It was a good time.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.
Later, man.